Long ago, tribes in Russia found a magic crystal. After something terrible happened, they broke it apart because it was too dangerous. Each tribe took a piece of the crystal and hid it somewhere safe. One tribe placed their piece in a tomb guarded by the spirit named Anastasia. They carved a symbol in stone showing night, whispers, harvest, and the crystal. Months before disaster hit Russia, a British man named Kilroy and his museum friends found these ancient symbols between Kyiv and St. Petersburg. They thought these were just old stories. On May 22nd at 7:18 am, Flight 106 landed at Sheremetevo Airport without a pilot. The ground crew found everyone on board infected with a fast-spreading deadly virus. At Vorkuta Junction, soldiers woke up Pavel, the manager. They needed his help to move Ivan, an old World War II railway gun. Their plan was to blow up the train tunnels to stop the virus. The soldiers succeeded, but by 10:25 that morning, contact with them was lost. The virus spread further, and Russia's president ordered General Boris to launch a nuclear missile at Moscow. Boris refused, burned the order and cut contact. The military tried to launch from Silo 22, but Boris had sabotaged the missile. This turned the area into a dead zone. Later, the coalition military group came in the aircraft carrier Liberator, and Russia joined them. They built a base on an oil rig and brought submarines to help. But one submarine broke down and exploded. The radiation killed most soldiers at the oil rig, leaving the coalition with only the Liberator. Russia is the largest country on Earth, stretching from Europe to the Pacific Ocean. Moscow, its capital, is the largest city in Europe, with over 12 million residents. Sheremetevo International in Unturned represents Moscow's real-world Sheremetyevo International Airport. It is the busiest airport in Russia and the 11th busiest airport in Europe. St. Petersburg, formerly known as Petrograd and later Leningrad, is the second largest city in Russia after Moscow. Another notable location featured in the Unturned Russia map is Vorkuta, one of the easternmost cities in European Russia, lying just west of the Ural Mountains, which mark the traditional boundary between Europe and Asia. Let's review loot on the Russia map in Unturned. I'll first show you what items different spawn tables contain, and then show you where each of them can spawn. Starting with Special Low, which has a high chance, 15%, of spawning fragmentation grenades. It is also the only spawn table that contains Spec Ops gear. Then there is Special High, which is a higher tier special loot including epic and legendary guns like Hell's Fury, Dragonfang, Echo and Matamoros. This type of loot drops from mega zombies on Russia, but can also be found in Silo 22, which I'll show later. There are two types of more common military loot too. Military Low has some decent guns like Bulldog, Sniperska, Teklovka and Yuri. Military High additionally has Zubeknakov, military vest and helmet, and fighter pilot gear. Now I will show you exact locations where you can find these items. At the entrance to the Silo 22, there are mostly military high spawn points, but also 4 dark grey cubes that indicate special low spawn points. Inside Silo 22, there are still mostly military high spawns, but also lots of special high table points. As you go down the bunker, you can see how many black cubes there are. The same goes for the oil rig, which is also a dead zone and has lots of special high spawn points. Even the underwater submarine has 2 of them. The biggest Volk military base on the map has the military high and low spawn points with a few special low too. This military base has a large hangar with a construction and gas loot, which I will show in more detail later in the video. Other military locations include Zawod, 2 collapsed tunnels, one near Vork military base and Zawod, and the other one near the Krovi estate and dead zone, 2 military tents in Moscow, and 2 in the subway of St. Petersburg. The next interesting spawn table is Militia. You can find military guns from other maps like Eaglefire, Peacemaker, Viper, Desert Falcon, as well as Dragonfang, PDW, Rocket Launcher, and Sabertooth. There's only one spot on the entire Russian map where you can find lots of this militia loot. A hidden bunker in the dead zone near the road from the Krovi estate to Silo 22. Krovi estate brings us to Mafia Loot, which contains only a dozen items, one of them being the calling card. Krovi estate is the only place where you can find it, and as you can see, there aren't too many spawn points for it. Police loot on Russia differs from other maps. Police low has a Kriskarek instead of Cobra. The police high spawn table also has Vanya, which is a powerful shotgun. There are plenty of police locations on Russia, including police stations in Yavesk, Yekaterinburg, 2 police stations in Moscow, 1 in St. Petersburg, and Sheryava Airport. When looting these locations, remember that the best loot is always in gun cabinets like this one. There are also 2 police blockades, one near Sheryava Airport and another one near Kyriev. Medic loot isn't much different than on other maps. But the loot at fire stations is significantly different because it's the only place on the whole map where you can find the gas masks and filters. Fortunately, there are lots of fire stations and towers, which I have marked on the map. St. Petersburg and Moscow each have 2 fire stations. The Firewatch base near Yekaterinburg is the biggest and the smallest are fire towers, but they're still worth visiting if you're traveling near them. Construction loot isn't very interesting, but contains some useful supplies like rope, tape and wire. Gas loot found mostly at gas stations and mechanic buildings is the same as on other maps. The mine loot, however, is very interesting, because you can find jackhammer, explosives and detonator. There are lots of places around the map where you can find construction loot, but the biggest are Vorkuta Junction and Kivgrad Harbor. There's also some at the scrapyard, along with gas loot. For mine loot, you can only find it at the Kyriev mining quarry. Camp loot is very important at the beginning, because there are lots of camps near the player spawns at the bottom of the map. It's the same as on other vanilla maps, like PI and Washington. You can find it at camp buildings and tents like these. Finally, there's farm loot, which is also very basic, but important at the beginning, and for base building when you need a chainsaw. You can find it at farms like this. Lastly, this is a loot from airdrops. There is only one type of airdrop and lots of positions where it can drop all around the map. That's it for this video. If you want to explore more about unturned items and vehicles, check out Unturned browser at our website. The link will be in the description. Thank you for watching.